Hello, salutations. What to do? Sadot the Gamer, all father, do right gang in the vibes like scrap. Let's get it. And welcome once again to the Aftershow Podcast. I'm joined by the ghost of Casual Avenger. His real body is too busy going all in on a deep dish pizza, but we will rep him as always. I am joined currently by what used to be Jayshockblast, but he's currently doing a wrestling bit. So
Macho Man Jayshockblast.
Yeah, so that happened.
Got that out of my system.
How's everyone doing? We are joined, of course, by QMR Rage in the chat. We got Kamo, Jayshockblast's fellow old man Eastwood. We got the goat of the community, Novel Flow, Spider-Man joining us again. What's up, everyone? How you doing, Mr. Blast?
It's been an interesting week.
Yes, it has.
I feel like I've gotten like nothing done. I mean, but I'm okay with that. Honestly, like, I know that like we're about to get to a point where we're gonna feel like we have something going on every minute of every day because these games are all about to start dropping. So like I'm just at a point where I'm gonna do what I do. I'm gonna have fun with it, and the chips are just gonna fall wherever they may.
I cannot relate. I'm not sitting on bags of Lego and WB money, so I dropped 2 videos today.
Yeah. Well, it's funny though, because like I thought the Walking Dead Betrayal game was pretty cool. I got to play that last week with the devs. They literally retweeted it. So it just shows you how little impact other social media has,
Very true. Well, Twitter in particular, sure.
Yeah. But like it's not even a new thing though. Like this is something I've noticed many, many times over, that like no matter whether like the literal company, like I've had 2K, like the actual at 2K account retweet something and it had no significant positive effect on views. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've learned that especially after the new changes to the algorithm, but even before that, Twitter has very little conversion particularly when it comes to YouTube. Like there are some creators who have success, onboarding people from Twitter to OnlyFans more commonly, but to direct sales sites. But when it comes to YouTube, I'm not sure if anyone consistently can drag a significant portion of their Twitter people to YouTube unless it's like a viral video and even attached to the post. And even then, it's most cases it's a fraction of the people watching the tweet who are clicking on the link directly to the video. YouTube, unfortunately, the best way is to use the built-in YouTube algorithm. There are a few other options, but usually it's getting tweets from the big accounts don't really help you on YouTube. I saw that with Avengers. I remember that. I would see Avengers occasionally retweet people, and it would literally do nothing.
Yeah. I've like, this is like a long time thing that I've noticed, that like just even having the main accounts retweet you, it just is like there's very little conversion on new people. Like I feel like Twitter is to just remind the people that know you, that follow you, hey, I'm live.
Yeah.
I mean, half the time when I see that you're live, it's if I saw a tweet or if your Discord sent out a notification.
Pretty much. That's why I rely on. Like, if it's not, usually I forget to tweet. Sometimes I do when I have a new video because it literally just has such a low impact. But I'll do a Discord because I have the members, and then I pretty much just call it. I just focus entirely on YouTube. But we got a nice show for you guys. A lot to talk about. We just got of course, the brand new reveal of the previously announced Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games, which is based on the Last Ronin graphic novel. We're going to talk about that. I did a video about that on my main channel. And we're also going to talk about this Sony information that dropped, because Sony is apparently not only losing money this quarter, they are also reportedly internally delaying several of their upcoming first party games that are supposed to come out in 2023. Obviously, as soon as people saw that headline, they immediately, if you're a Spider-Man fan, immediately panicked. But I made a video about that as well. Probably don't have anything to worry about that in regards to Spider-Man, but some of the other games, yeah. And we're also going to talk about Gal Gadot versus James Gunn, because that took a turn that we did not.
I didn't see that. I saw, like, it seemed like they were happy to be working together. So you'll have to tell me about that.
Oh yeah, that one just got pretty awkward really fast. so once again, people are saying, you know, James Gunn sucks, Snyderverse. We're also going to talk a little bit about the Marvels, and there was a leak of the PS5 Slim, so we'll talk about that as well. Let's get into the first topic, because this one is fresh, breaking news story. The new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. This was a surprise drop at the THQ Nordic digital showcase. I didn't even know that was happening. I did my Spider-Man video earlier in the day, and then I literally just took a nap once it was done. And then I woke up and got a notification from Caboose that he went live with a reaction video. And I was like, oh, what's this? I saw TMNT. I was like, oh, no way. So I checked Twitter and saw that they dropped the real trailer. So I had to quickly make another video about that.
It was such a pointless. Like, I mean, listen, they shouldn't have called it a trailer. Oh, all right. So here it calls a teaser trailer. They shouldn't have called it a trailer. They should have, in their title, called it a teaser trailer, because it's literally a screenshot.
Yeah, it's similar to the Black Panther announcement trailer, where it's basically this one was longer. Basically, they do some music, they got some, you know, art, you know, to set the mood and the ambiance. And in this particular trailer, at the end, they showed a motion image of concept art that is depicting the Last Ronin Ninja Turtle fighting some of the enemies that you'll be encountering, which seem to be robot ninjas. It looks very cool. I can't wait for the game. The vice president described it previously as a single player RPG in the style of modern God of War. Please just, you know, have less cutscenes than 2018, and we're good to go on that. But I'm personally excited. What do you think about it, Jay?
I mean, I'm very excited. I have the graphic novel, but I have not had a chance to read it yet. My brother read it all as it was going. And I think I'm kind of shocked at how many people are willing to spoil the main plot line of the the story, which is who the last Ronin actually is.
Right, I have no idea. I didn't read it.
Good, and I feel like that's the warning that everybody should have going into it. Is it's more meaningful and impactful if you wait until that point. I mean, I feel like there was articles that came up right away. Like, I've already had it spoiled, and it was like one of those things is like always sitting there. I'm like, I'm gonna read it, and I thought I knew who it was, but it wasn't who I thought it was. And just like IGN, I think their first article when it got announced, like they just spoiled it. Like, and here's and as you know,
there you go. That's why I don't follow IGN. I went straight to Game Informer.
But I even saw yesterday. Yesterday, I saw a comic historian tweet about something. Like, he had apparently made a video about the Last Ronin, and he mentioned apparently who it was in it, and people were giving him pushback on. He's like, guys, this story is like 2 years old. Like, if you haven't read it yet, that's not my fault. And I understand that to an extent, but like,
this isn't a big mainstream story. No, he's coping. Like, no, you know that this wasn't a massive story. I mean, God knows the comic book industry is in America has been in the shitter for the last several years. Like, it's perfectly reasonable for you to not spoil the fucking
Yeah.
story
I
for
mean, it's not
people.
much to ask because I feel like that, like, I always remember one of the reasons I love Knights of the Old Republic so much is because of the big reveal. You know what I mean? Like, there's just this plot twist at one point, and it like blew my mind, and I didn't even see it coming. And like, I feel like that's kind of like what you're owed in a story like this. And I understand you're going to run that risk when you make a video game based on a storyline that already exists, especially when you're, you know, going down to one turtle.
Right.
But I don't know. I didn't want to know that. I wanted to learn that in the game or read the
just
book.
Just to be on the safe side, I'm probably going to pull up the Last Ronin and read it online before.
Yeah, and I will
get
say
spoiled.
this, like, so it's on like a smaller, you know, label and everything, but it was one of the most popular runs while it was going, and some of those like number ones, like those first run number ones, are worth a ton of money if they're graded. Like I've
Oh, yeah.
seen like $1,000, you know,
Oh, geez.
9.8s, you know.
Yeah, I'm totally out of it. I was just going to read it online.
No. I'm just like speaking to the popularity of the series. Like,
I'm guessing you have a few of those $1,000 issues.
no, I wasn't like I'm not a big Turtles guy. Like that, I was like getting a little older right when they were popping, and that was always my brother's thing because he's like about 5 years younger than me. So the Turtles were always kind of his thing. I liked them, you know,
Yeah.
but it was kind of at
I'm much younger, so they were definitely my thing.
You're like literally my brother's age.
minus another 5 years.
Anyway, so you know, I'm very excited about this though. I mean, I like Ninja Turtle games are games I grew up with. You know, we had that awesome new game last year that was like the spiritual successor to Turtles in Time.
Yep.
And then they also had that big kind of dump of all the Turtle games into one collection. So to get a nice modern day Ninja Turtles game, it's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Like since they were talking about modern God of War, I immediately ignored that and thought of Ghost of Tsushima as soon as I saw the sword and the talk of the mature tone.
Yeah.
So I don't know what engine they're using. I haven't played a THQ game since probably WWE SmackDown. So
Did you play what didn't you play that zombie game?
Which one?
The one that just came out?
World War Z?
No.
Was that
shoot. Why can't I think of it? It is like just came out. It had like been delayed for like 8 years. And it was part of that Play On group.
The day before?
No. Oh my god, the Dead Island 2.
Dead Island 2? That's it. I thought that was a Deep Silver.
Oh, you're right. I thought they were THQ. I thought they were part of that whole conglomerate. Yeah, I don't even remember. THQ isn't even THQ anymore.
Yeah, it's definitely that. Like that. That's just going to show. It's definitely not been something that I've been on like that in terms of THQ. Let me see what they've done recently. THQ Nordic. Let's see what they've done because I'm drawing a blank on their actual games besides.
Well, they used to do all the WWE games.
Yeah, because that's what when I think of THQ, I think of the WWE games because that's what I played. Like AEW Fight Forever. I got sent that, but I never played it.
Game is so bad.
Yeah, I heard Alone in the Dark, didn't play it. Darksiders, SpongeBob SquarePants.
Darksiders is kind of cool.
Yeah, Destroy All Humans. Yeah, so I've not played many THQ Nordic games. Recent, I'm trying to look at recent years. Yeah, I haven't been. I know. Captain was talking about the Darksider games. He's a big fan. He was hoping they would announce another one. I have not been playing them.
I feel like Darksiders is one of those games where they've always had like it there to be popular, but for some reason they just never really kind of broke through, because they're pretty cool games. They're very, especially like I think it was Darksiders 3. They kind of switched up and went kind of Diablo style,
right?
A little bit more.
They did a South Park game recently. There you go.
I'll tell you this about Darksiders 3 though. Remember when fudge, what was that thing called? Google Stadia came out.
Oh my God, Stadia.
Yeah. I needed to get a game because I got the Stadia, like FOMO'd the Stadia. And yeah, Genesis. That was the game that I got on Google Stadia. And I literally played it in a Google Chrome like window with a controller. It was wild. Say what you want about Stadia. It failed hard,
Yes,
but it was really cool technology.
It's like, to me, Stadia to me seemed like Google Glass.
Yeah,
like a good idea, but just way too ahead of its time, and not cool enough to overcome that.
Well, the problem is that what they really should have done is had like their package was basically whatever their like Google Disk that you plug into the HDMI was, and a controller. And I get that, but they should have just made it all optional from the start. Like you had to like go through all that, I think, to set up your account. And then like I guess you could have used like an Xbox controller, but if they just had the platform, like you could literally play it through a browser, like through Google Chrome. And like I think that would have been a lot cooler for people if they didn't have to, like, they would be able to jump into it easier if they didn't have to make that initial investment of like $130, you know?
Yeah,
Which isn't even unreasonable, but
no, not at all. But yeah, to me, it felt like I lost excitement for Stadia immediately because it was pitched as basically Netflix but gaming, and I was like, and oh, okay, interesting. And then it just wasn't, and then I just was like, whatever, and I never ended up picking one up. I just couldn't justify it, and then
yeah.
before I knew it, it was shut down.
I played 2 games on it. I played the Darksiders game, which I got refunded for when they shut down, which is great. And then I played Destiny 2 because they had done cross progression and everything, and it was free to play at that point.
Never played Avengers. Shame.
I don't even think it was. Oh, it was out on that actually. I think I forgot I had Stadia at that point. You're right. I could have been one of the 15 people. There's a guy that I met through someone else who I follow on Twitter that actually had probably the longest running Stadia podcast. And they did a podcast like every week about Google Stadia.
A Stadia podcast.
Yes. And I think he was actually playing Avengers on Stadia.
That's actually hilarious.
Yeah. So
rip Stadia. I'm sure like Google Glass, similar products will come out in the future, just much better, more advanced, and people will be ready for it. And then
Luna,
it'll be a big success.
I don't know if you remember, that's a thing. Amazon Luna.
Yeah. I've heard people talk about Luna. I know that the big game developers are basically looking at cloud gaming as like the future. I know I was reading an article about Electronic Arts and their plans. They're doing big investments in cloud gaming and also in artificial intelligence. You know, they have like these ideas of having basically user generated content where they leverage AI and users can have unparalleled levels of customization. And we've seen a little bit of this in like some mods. I think Skyrim did this mod where they made it so that the NPCs are connected to ChatGPT, so that you can have much more dynamic conversations. And I feel like that's kind of where everything's going. There'll be a point where you just slap on your VR, your new immersive VR tech, and you just go in and say, "Hey, I want to play a modern Ultimate Alliance remake in the style of Unreal Engine 5 and they'll just render the whole thing. You'll just be sitting in playing. Before that, they'll probably just have games where it's just super interactive, like the NPCs are have artificial intelligence built in, so that you're always having different and unique conversations, and they're responding to you in real time, and you can use prompts to generate new storylines and new villains rather than wait for them to develop and put out new DLC content. And that's why we'll probably see a rise in more subscriptions, because it's like, okay, well, instead of us developing DLC, if we have the technology for you can potentially make your own DLC, then we basically just charge you a service fee to use the game, and maybe drop in some cosmetics and stuff like that on top of that. But yeah, basically just charge your service for using the game, and then you can kind of just go crazy with your imagination.
That's an interesting concept for sure. And I don't love the idea of AI in general, but
Boomer.
Well, no, I don't know. I feel like
we're all worried about Skynet and Ultron, and
I'm not even actually worried about that. I'm just worried about I do feel like it's taking away from some people and what they do. I worry about like the real life ramifications for journalists and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's still.
I mean, that's always an issue,
Sure.
concern with new technology, and no matter what, it seems like always people adapt to it, and it ends up creating more and different opportunities.
Yeah.
Than ever before. Like people, like when the internet came along, people was like, oh, journalism is dead, and journalism was dead before that, but
Well,
it adapted. Now instead of the anchor at 6 o'clock telling you the news, you have a bunch of podcasts and live shows on YouTube and Rumble and everything like that, where you're having 3-hour or more conversations and everything like that. So it just technology just evolves the previous careers, and it takes some stuff away, but it generally adds new opportunities. Like there's definitely valid concerns about the writers being worried about losing their jobs to AI, and especially with the way Hollywood studios are planning. It's not like they're trying to do right by them, but I mean it's part of the process. I mean, you still need someone that knows what they're doing to if you want to go down that route with the ChatGPT scripts and everything like that. It's smart. It can definitely produce better results than some of the trash that we've been getting lately.
Yeah, and I think that's a conversation we're about to have whenever the Marvels comes up.
Yeah, that's definitely going to pop up. But in the meantime, I want to get into this story about Sony, because it definitely gave some fans some panic attacks whenever they see delay, because this came out that they're internally delaying a portion of their upcoming first party titles. And as most people know, one of their by far most famous first party title that's coming up this year is Spider-Man 2. And the idea of that getting delayed would be absolutely devastating. But as I said in my video earlier today, I'm fairly confident in Spider-Man PS5 not being delayed, especially since they've already done pre-orders. They're shipping the launch bundles. Like this game is coming out this year. If it was a delay, I feel like it would be something like November, December.
Yeah.
Something like that. But they're definitely getting this game out. It would be absolutely devastating for Sony if they didn't get Spider-Man 2 out in 2023 at all, especially if Starfield, against all odds, actually is functional at launch. So, and because I saw the other day that after the Sony's Q3 reports came out, they said their sensor, their their PlayStation divisions down, their movie divisions lost a lot of money, and their stock dropped by over 6.5%. So they are really hoping that they get a home run with Spider-Man 2 to kind of basically carry them through the holidays, because I'm pretty sure the games that are getting delayed are going to be Helldivers 2 and Stellar Blade, because those still don't have firm release dates. I heard Helldivers 2 was rumored that they were targeting October, but Stellar Blade I thought was a lock for 2023. I mean, I was all about that Stellar cake, but when they didn't show at the PlayStation Showcase, I'm like, oh, this is delayed. so
Well,
what do you think, Jay? I'm sure you got some insight.
I have no insight, but as you know, I have said on many occasions, you can't delay a game that doesn't have a release date. So
technically, I mean, you can, but it's internally.
Yeah, well,
if your target was 2023 and it's not coming out 2023, that would be a delay as well,
I guess. But like, if there's not an official release date, like, and it's not like you could say, oh, we're targeting this, but that is like a loose like suggestion. I don't think we have anything to worry about Spider-Man 2. I mean, they haven't announced that it's gone gold yet, so I guess technically it's not done. But I mean, I'm not worried about them. I mean, they would have given themselves plenty of time to get there. And I mean, that's not until what, like October 20th,
October
right?
20th. Yeah,
So
we still got 2 months.
Yeah, we got time. So like, I'm not concerned. Yeah, dude, I wish Eastwood.
I'm personally interested. I was curious about Helldivers, but I really want that Stellar cake. I mean, Stellar Blade. that game looks like it's going to be great for the culture.
But yeah, PlayStation. That's unfortunate. They put a lot behind that PlayStation VR 2. Made some very poor decisions with it.
Yeah, they didn't go far, but yeah, and then you had the PlayStation Showcase, which I enjoyed, but I understood the criticisms. Like if you weren't there for Spider-Man 2, then there was basically like maybe 1 or 2 games to be excited about.
Yeah.
So,
but like, I just want to go back to the PSVR. I saw something this week from somebody. I don't remember who it was, but they retweeted. They were a big PlayStation. I think it might have even been Greg Miller, but I don't know for sure. But they retweeted another big known PlayStation fan showing their PSVR to, and they're like, I don't regret getting it per se, but look at it. There's literal dust collecting on it. Where are the games? There's no games. Like,
that's fine. People are saying people actually have said the same thing about the PS5 itself.
but like, to me, like, games are games. I don't care. Like, I understand that a lot of people think, well, I bought the new shiny thing, so all the games should be for the PS5.
What even did they release for PSVR 2 besides? I remember Horizon and I saw Resident Evil, but after that, most of the stuff like I just glossed over.
To me, the failure of PSVR 2 isn't going to be what they released. It's going to be that they didn't make it backwards compatible. Like, you cannot play any of the previous PlayStation VR titles on the PSVR 2.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, that's
and
weird.
That makes no sense because you can play the same PS4 games on the PS5.
Exactly.
Why wouldn't you be able to play these games? It makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
it seems like they definitely like shot themselves in the foot. Like, not only do you not have the PSVR backwards compatible and not have a lot of PS5 to VR 2 games ready to go, but you also have this ridiculously high price point.
And the competitors are nowhere near there. Like, you look at the Quest and some of the other VR options, the Vive and all those, and they're just loaded with options.
Yeah.
Because they're like more PC based, and they're much cheaper to, like, a cheaper entry point, and they're just loaded with games. Like, yeah, of course, PlayStation, has a few that are you can only play there, but like I would rather have either of those than a PSVR 2 where there's like 15 games you can play.
Yeah, and it also requires your PS5.
Yeah. Like, I mean, we're talking you have to make like a $1,100 entry to have PSVR 2. You have to have a PS5 and you have to have the PSVR 2, which is $600.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that price, I was like, yeah, no way, fuck.
Wasn't the first one like 400?
Yeah, like this is insane. Like that's what the Oculus was when at launch. I'm just like, I'm not paying $600 for PSVR 2. Should someone tell Eastwood? I feel like someone shouldn't. He doesn't seem to know. Yeah, let's preserve Eastwood's innocence and not tell him about VR adult entertainment. I don't want him to go down that rabbit hole.
I feel like that's why most people get VR.
Yeah. Let's just tell Eastwood that it doesn't exist. No one has done it. No one has thought of it. There is none. Do not go looking for it. It doesn't exist.
And do not get the optional fleshlight.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Do not under any circumstances Google VR and Prawn. But speaking of PS5, maybe this one will do better than the PSVR 2 because we just got a leak of the Slim that's been rumored for a while, and I don't know. I'm assuming this is a real image, but
I don't know what the point is.
Doesn't look that slim. No. Is it just me? Doesn't look very slim.
Yeah, I mean, I guess now you could sell different side plates, though.
Yeah, like I'm not.
I mean, I guess you'd have to see it side by side. Yeah. Maybe it's like more compact.
Because I feel like the PS5 itself it's not that big. Like I have it on right now. I'm looking at it. I mean, it's not like a refrigerator like the Xbox. Like this.
The Xbox is literally half the size. Like look at how much smaller the Xbox is. Like side by side.
It's giant.
It's like 10 inches shorter.
That is a massive box.
Okay. But
the PS5 is tall, the Xbox is fat.
Yeah, like some people like a cheese wheel and some people like a cheese stick. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, this definitely doesn't look like something I would have any interest in unless it has I guess I'm waiting basically for the Pro because unless it's like got some great new features, like I'm pretty satisfied with my PS5 as is. I just got my 2 terabyte SSD all installed, so
he wasn't gonna do it. You're welcome.
I was not, but Jayshockblast
said I pushed you into that, boomer.
He told me he's like, hey, if I can do it anyway, and I was like, you know what?
That is literally my selling point.
That was a great point. If Jayshockblast can operate a piece of technology, I should be able to do it in like half the time.
and now you don't really have to worry about any space anytime soon.
I've been installing games like crazy. Like I just got back into World War Z, which is funny because they just dropped a DLC, a free update. So I've been playing that. I'm still going to finish Final Fantasy 16, but I've got a bunch of stuff now. I was able to put back Avengers, Jedi Survivor, Hogwarts Legacy, and I still have 2K23. Those are all well over 100 gigs. Yeah. And not even feel it.
I was actually talking about my wife, this with my wife, because I want to get the 2 terabyte card for my Xbox because I'm starting to get to the point where I'm having to delete games because I have the.
I think they just called you tall and fat.
I am actually short and fat, so there you go. No, but I want to get the 2 terabyte card. But it's only Seagate. It's on sale. Normally it's $3.99, which is fucking ridiculous. Okay.
No.
I am sorry, like biggest Xbot in the world, but like what they did with the memory, I think is cool, but like they only had Seagate making it for like the first 2 years, and they're just opened up with like Western Digital has one, and there might be a third company that has one now, but they only have the 1 terabyte, and I don't need another terabyte. But it's cool. They're just a little card. You slide it right in. No surgery on the console. But like it's on sale for $279, and it's tax-free weekend.
Jesus.
So I'm like,
Yeah, my 2 terabyte was a bit of a pain in the ass to install, but it was still like $100.
Yeah, it was like a third of the price. And I'll tell you, like, I think the convenience of the way Xbox did it was great, but like
the price is just unacceptable.
The price is just ridiculous. Where Sony went ahead and just got like, hey, you got to get these specific ones. There's a list of the ones you can get, and then it's competition. And the prices have just gone down and down and down. And now they even just did an update where I think you can install up to an 8 terabyte hard drive.
Jeez.
It might even be 10. So like, for $279, you could probably get an 8 or 10 terabyte, hard drive. And it's like, you'd probably never have to delete anything. So I don't know. It's annoying. And like, I'm at a point where I'm like, I don't want to delete some of these games. And I know it's only going to get worse coming up with Starfield and, all the other games I'm going to be playing.
All the
Mortal Kombat one and
yeah, definitely not first party Xbox games. So aren't that many
games.
Yeah, aren't that many. But yeah, MK1 is going to be a big one. Starfield is literally going to be a big one.
Yeah, I don't think I'll play Modern Warfare at all, but
yeah, I'm never touching Call of Duty. I'm
going to be honest with you. I just deleted all my Call of Duties and re-downloaded Warzone just to buy Homelander. And I'm not even like a big like The Boys fan, but like I saw the Homelander in Call of Duty and I'm like, I want to have that just in case I somehow end up playing it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna wait for I'm just gonna play Homelander in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I already had. I only had to like put $5 in. Basically, I already had like money in my account.
Makes sense
from when I did play it. So yeah, I don't know.
Speaking of Homelander and MK1, we didn't cover this, but it's been a bit of a shit show in the Mortal Kombat community over the past week.
Yeah,
our friend of the channel, Caboose, was in the middle of it because he made the mistake of getting a character wrong during his live reaction when he literally couldn't hear anything over the crowd. He just saw her on the screen for a second. It was like, and I don't even know. That's how little I care.
I didn't know who it was.
That's how little I care about Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I didn't know who it was either.
I had no idea. I'm an old school Mortal Kombat guy. Luke Cage, Reptile, Sonya, all those people. I'm all about it.
Luke Cage.
Luke. I don't think I'm thinking of Luke Kang.
How dare you, Sadot the Gamer? Can't even get it right. Thinking of Marvel.
No, I was thinking of
Johnny Cage and Liu Kang.
Johnny Cage, Liu Kang, and the black guy, Jax.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought it was crazy, and they even went after Maximilian, who is one of the nicest dudes I've ever met.
He's also done an obscene amount for Mortal Kombat. Like didn't he make like 3 movies?
Yeah, and people are like, "You're not a real Mortal Kombat fan. Do you even know anything? Oh, you're just." I was like, "Are you kidding me? This guy is Mortal Kombat."
He literally. I feel like if you're such a fan of a series that you make 3 fucking movies about it, you're more than a fan.
Yeah, I listen, and I think it's funny because like I've been to NetherRealm Studios in Chicago, and I was there with Maximilian. Like we're walking. I have a video on my channel of our tour, and you can see him many times in the video walking around.
That-
One of the nicest people I've
Yeah.
ever met. Like
it was his case was even more egregious because
yeah,
like Caboose got it wrong because he literally couldn't hear, and they were making fun of him because he couldn't hear it, but they didn't realize that literally the trailer was added in post, like he was watching it live, he couldn't hear anything. Max got it wrong for like a second and then immediately got it right, and so the person clipped the video out of context and cut off the part where he said the name right like a few seconds later and posted like, oh, Max doesn't know the character, and people ran. I'm just like, bro, y'all like I knew I have my issues with Mortal Kombat community because I was thinking of getting back into it, but then I saw like videos of like people playing against like white supremacists like popping up, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't. This one of the reasons I don't deal with Call of Duty. I don't want to deal. I don't want to deal with these racist incels in these PvP communities. So I'm good on that.
I just don't play PvP.
Yeah, but after seeing this, because I assumed the Mortal Kombat community was just standard levels of PvP gamer toxic. Yeah. I didn't know they were actually just brain dead.
And what I thought was the most shocking part about it is that from everything that I saw out of Evo, which was last weekend, which is like basically the World Series, the Super Bowl of the fighting games, like it seemed like it was amazing. There was so much like positivity. Everybody was like great. And like it wasn't toxic at all. It seemed like everybody was having a blast. Even in like I think it was the Mortal Kombat final, one of the guy's controllers died, and the guy just sat there. His opponent, by rule, could have gotten a free round, and just sat there and waited it out, and let him like fix his controller situation. Like
that's just good. That's just great sportsmanship.
Exactly. Like, and he ended up winning anyway. And like, it's just like crazy to me that like after that weekend, and like I was kind of living vicariously through Unruly and Caboose and Uncaged, because like all I saw was Ed Boon tweeting them like all weekend. Right. And I was like, God damn, man, this must be the dream. You know, like, because I've met those guys many times, and I know how passionate they are about Mortal Kombat, and I just thought it was so cool for them, like that they were experiencing this, like Uncaged Games made a TikTok with Ed Boon, like how freaking cool is that? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I feel like we got to get a big podcast for Mortal Kombat where we get Unruly, Caboose, and Max just all on one show.
Yeah, I will try to make that happen.
Let's make that happen. Let's celebrate properly.
A decent possibility I might be able to have some conversations with them about that. So,
well, there you go.
I'll just say that
Jayshockblast is him, as the kids like to say.
I wouldn't say that, but
so look out for that. So, but one thing Jayshockblast apparently doesn't know about is this whole situation with James Gunn and Gal Gadot. So
one thing I did want to say real quick though, while we were talking about the fighting games, well, it's real quick. Something that's kind of cool, and it actually goes into the Ninja Turtles we were talking about earlier. The Ninja Turtles actually are in Street Fighter 6 right now.
Yep.
Kind of expensive. It's like $15 per skin. Where have we heard that before?
Marvel's Avengers was 14.
It like literally the standard price for these things. It's $60 to get all 4 turtles if you want them. But I do believe, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe this makes the Ninja Turtles the first entity that's ever been in both NetherRealm and Capcom games, because the Ninja Turtles were also in Injustice 2.
Oh, so that is a big deal.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, I think. So anyway, Gal Gadot. Last I heard, I thought that they had a positive interaction.
Yeah, we actually covered this last week, like because you thought, because we had to clarify before you jumped on your I hate women train about how Gal Gadot said this stuff about while promoting her new movie, which dropped on Netflix today. I started watching a little bit of it, but she had her thing when she was promoting it was before the strike, so she was in the clear. But yeah, basically she said while she was promoting her new movie that just dropped today, I think it's called Heart of Stone. She said, yeah, she had a meeting with James Gunn and Peter Safran, and they told her, you have nothing to worry about. You're in good hands. We're gonna work on Wonder Woman 3 with you. And then that went out there, and everyone's like, oh yeah, Wonder Woman 3. You know, Gal Gadot's comments, Wonder Woman 3. Apparently, you know, obviously Snyder fans got mad because they were like, oh well, they're bringing Gal Gadot, but not Henry Cavill. You know, that they just proves he hates Henry Cavill. And then this week, James Gunn just came out and said, "Oh no, there's no Wonder Woman 3 happening. This she's not. This isn't a thing." And everyone's like, "Huh?" so either Gal Gadot had this whole thing happen in her mind, or James Gunn was capping, or there was a misunderstanding. Because
I hope he's just trolling.
Those are two very different
stories.
Situations. Yeah, I don't even see how there's a misunderstanding, because Gal Gadot literally said she was in a meeting and they told her explicitly Wonder Woman 3 is happening with her, and James Gunn came out and said, "Oh yeah, Wonder Woman 3 is not happening." I'm just like, because people assumed it was initially canceled because they basically gave Patty Jenkins the boot out of the DCU, but James Gunn was like being wishy-washy about whether or not that meant Gal Gadot was out or not. You know, he was basically kind of playing footsies with that, you know, while definitively saying Henry Cavill's out. And then he made sure that she was basically in every post-credit scene and cameo in all the DC projects still coming out. Like, to the point they even specifically wrote out Henry Cavill from The Flash while keeping Gal Gadot, and they had her in Shazam too. So people were like, "Oh well, it looks like Gal Gadot at the very least. You know, Ben Affleck might be done, but Gal Gadot is going to continue." And then people were like, "Oh yeah," when she did that interview, like, "Oh, so it's confirmed." And for him to just completely flip and say, "Oh no, it's not," like something happened. I don't know what, but that definitely requires some further clarification because someone's lying.
Yeah. My bigger question is, like, isn't this the same question I had last week? Isn't this all against the rules? Like, where are these comments coming from, and where are these meetings coming from?
So
haven't they been striking for like over a month?
So Gal Gadot, she said this while she was promoting her movie, but but this was before the strike happened, so that's why her comments were allowed. James Gunn is in a weird place because he obviously production on the projects that are stalled for the stuff they can't do, but he's not really a SAG writer or actor. He's not in their position. He's not an actor. He is a writer, but he's also a director and they have a deal already in place. They're not on strike, but he's also the head of DC at WB. So he's not really bound by the same restrictions as the SAG actor. He's not out there on the picket line. He's respecting it in terms of he made sure he turned his script in for Superman Legacy before the strike went live, but he can talk to the press.
Yeah, but I just feel like it seems like there's new comments from Gal Gadot.
I feel like people are reposting some of the stuff, but also she's allowed, is the restriction isn't a media blackout. She's not technically just allowed to talk about, she's not allowed to promote active products. But the meeting happened alleged meeting happened a while ago.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks, Watcher. So I mean, it seems like the flub is calling it Wonder Woman 3. You know, I don't know. It could be semantics. I just don't. I don't. People spend way too much time like fan theorizing and fan casting and like making up their own like
Yeah.
ideas of what should happen. Like this whole Snyderverse cult, like, can honestly just go disappear. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I
yeah. I'm
cannot
sorry.
stand them.
As I said before, I thought Zack Snyder's movies were overrated.
Yeah, like I mean, I just don't understand, you know what I mean? And I just feel like people spend way too much time worrying about this and like making it their entire existence. Like just I know we all want things now, but like I don't know, man, just sit back and wait and just wait for them to say what's actually going to happen, you know? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Speculating is fun.
It can be,
You know?
and it can be difficult, especially now that we know there's going to be a pretty extended delay on a lot of these projects.
Yeah.
So like we see, that's why it's become basically a meme at this point when it comes to Fantastic Four, because Marvel seems to be so worried about that project that they can't commit to anything. So there's a new rumor about a casting update happening pretty much every single week, it seems like.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just hit me when it's real, you know? Whoa, Dave Portnoy only spent $1 to buy back Barstool? That's crazy.
That must have been he must have had a crazy deal in place to get that back.
I know. I think Penn just had such a better deal to get with ESPN.
He just bought it back for $1. That's insane.
Like he sold it for like hundreds of millions. So he came out huge on that. That's great. I'm a big Barstool guy.
Of course you are.
Well, they started in Boston, you know. Like I remember when they were literally handing out papers at Red Sox games, you know. So I just have always enjoyed, and Portnoy, like especially after the whole like Tom Brady thing, when like he got accused of and scientifically proven not to have deflated any footballs.
Allegedly.
Portnoy and 3 others actually went to NFL headquarters and like handcuffed themselves to each other in the lobby, like, and said they weren't going to leave until they met with Goodell. And they, of course, got arrested. And there's like mugshots and everything. And Portnoy's got eye black on, and like his mugshot is like classic. It's legendary, and the whole thing is hilarious.
I used to have to follow Barstool for work, because I was writing for this online magazine news entertainment site, and the manager was of the site was basically a frat guy, big Barstool guy, and we would like check out their articles to basically repost or get ideas for stories, because that's basically kind of the audience that we were targeting. So I had to watch a lot of Barstool content.
Yeah. I mean, like I was never like a hardcore Barstool guy until one of the local radio guys that it was like the only thing I listened to on the radio was this guy named Kirk Minahan, and he got fired at WEI in Boston and instantly hired at Barstool. And like that's honestly the only reason I really kind of went in like more with Barstool, is because I do enjoy Kirk Minahan stuff.
I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect you to. He's actually starting to get bigger with them now, because they're realizing, because he's like one of the only people that's in Boston. Everybody else went to New York, and now I think they open up in Chicago.
I feel like every real sports fan has like a local guy that they stand like like I got Philly guys that I stand and think they should be on a national level, like Ron Burke. I think he's like the best broadcaster in the country, has been for like 10, 20 years. He used to do all the highlights for just our local PlayStation did the Sixers highlights. I think the Sixers have the best local or had the best local commentary team for their broadcast, and Ron Burke is just GOAT. I always loved him when I was a kid, and I know people have no idea who Ron Burke or Mark Zumwalt is unless they're super like in the weeds. But yeah, everyone's got their guy.
Well, Minahan was, while he was on, Boston Sports Radio, the show that he did was very political as well, and like he's not like, he's kind of, I think he says he's libertarian, but like there's, I just enjoyed listening to them talk, and he was very much in your face, and like they would interview people and they would just challenge them, and like there was a lot of controversy. Like ESPN started like saying we're not going to work with you anymore because like he wasn't just like fluffing their nuts. So that was why I always liked him, especially during like the Deflategate stuff, where people would come on the radio and like try like big sports guys in other areas, they'd write some stupid articles like, all right, come on and talk to us. And they'd come on having no idea what they're getting into, and he would challenge them like on everything that they were very clearly wrong about, and they would just like melt, and like to the point where people stopped going on the show. So I don't know. It's a really long story. He's got that like old school bulldog mentality.
He basically did a Ben Shapiro, but for the radio and sports. Destroying them with facts and logic.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't know where you were going with that. So, but yeah. So now he kind of does his own thing on Barstool. He has his podcast, and then he also does another one called The Case. And his first season of The Case, it was a true crime podcast. Literally solved a murder case.
Yeah, an actual murder case.
Yeah, and it wasn't even the one that he was going in for. He was going in to try to talk about a murder case from the Boston area, but in the process of researching it, ended up in South Carolina, where there was the same guy involved with another batch of people that just mysteriously died. And they went through and like did all this research and like found all these holes in the police's investigation. And it ended up being, after their last issue or episode went out, like 3 weeks later, the guy ended up being finally arrested and charged with murder. So it's pretty insane.
Wow.
So I think he's working on his third season, but he's also like, because he's in Boston and not in the studio in New York, there's a lot of friction because he is kind of a dick. And a lot of the younger Barstool people clash with him, but like he's been going in there a little bit more lately, and as it turns out, everybody loves him. And now he's crossing over into like Spit and Chicklets and Foreplay, which is like their hockey and golf stuff. They just did some big golf event, and I think he won it because apparently he's like a scratch golfer.
Oh,
so
this guy also built a rocket to go to Mars.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So he's kind of crazy, but like I don't know. I've always really liked him, so that's my long story that I did not intend to make that long.
Yeah, I thought you were just going to make a joke about ESPN being shitty and move on.
Well, yeah, my bad.
But yeah, that's what the people come to see. You never know when we'll just go on a long tirade about just something random, and that's where you can get magic, you know.
Yeah.
Definitely don't think that combo is getting turned into a short, but
no. Well, it's funny. East was talking about John Gruden. I'll tell you this about John Gruden: the best thing that happened was his lawsuit against the Raiders for firing him, because that's the whole reason that the Washington football team ended up getting sold. I don't want to call them the Commanders.
That's what they changed. They changed the name to the Commanders.
Yeah, and I feel like I can't call them the Redskins.
No, because you just did, and you just got canceled. So there you go.
You know, I do feel like that is one of the names that I'm kind of okay that it's changed. I just feel like,
I mean, it is literally
so bad.
It's bad, but I mean, the old one was literally a racial slur. So.
No, I understand, and I don't. I always believe it was meant, you know, with love, if you can believe that. I mean,
don't.
in the time when they were created, you know what I mean? But like, I don't typically believe like a lot of these Native American names are as bad as people want to make them out to be. Like, I feel like the Seminoles is a tribute to that, you know, tribe,
Yeah.
and I feel like they love being a part of that. You know, same thing with the Blackhawks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
If you just call them by their name, yeah. But when you,
I
when you,
get it. I get it. No, I understand. But like,
I-
I thought that there was like a super amazing way to like kind of keep the red part and go with the red. Everybody wanted the Washington Red Tails, and it would have been
oh,
like
okay.
the complete opposite. You know, it would have been a tribute to the historically, you know, black pilots
Yeah.
of World War II.
I love that movie. It was a yeah. Always remember that story about how I think it was Spielberg was the no it was James Cameron, I think, who did Red Tails,
Yeah,
and he was telling me that he was talking about how
telling you, huh?
telling me
Dr. James Cameron.
we're actually yeah we're actually in the same group chat. So he was talking about how, you know, even though he's James Cameron, he was coming off one of the big, I think might have been at the time the biggest movie ever. You know, he was like, okay, I'm really passionate about this Red Tails project, and he had to go through 6 different studios, and they all told him to go fuck himself because
Yeah.
he was like, we're not putting that black shit on the screen.
I do remember reading about that. Yeah.
So he basically had to do everything himself.
Yeah, that's I mean, you know, that's kind of crazy. I think about I haven't seen it yet, and I keep meaning to. That Jonathan Majors pilot movie looked so good.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, well, yeah. Now I guess it's kind of. I guess it's technically safe to watch Jonathan Major stuff for now
Yeah. I mean,
because
I never cared.
based on the evidence, I definitely feel like we're pretty safe in assuming that he's gonna be fine, and apologies will be coming out, and he'll get his endorsements back.
Yeah. Hopefully I'll have better representation though. You
Yeah,
know, that won't just like drop him at the first,
I mean
you
that's
know.
most of the industry. I mean they're especially when it comes to advertising, they're largely cowards. You know, the only ones who really stand for anything are like companies that are already steeped into the culture war. So like all the ones that are kind of like apolitical, they're just going to drop anybody at the sign of controversy, depending on what it
And
is.
it's funny because it would seem as though the exact reason Jonathan Majors or anybody else would have hired that kind of representation is for times like this.
Oh yeah, no, you got to have us. You got to have some special representation. Like I feel like when it comes to your management, like if it's not someone that you know personally, that you grew up with, like if you going into with one of these big agencies, they're not going to have your back. Like they're just not. Like they're because they're corporations at the end of the day. Like they're not going to do anything to risk their bottom line, or what they're really afraid of is having their clients walk out of protest to their competitors if they're representing the wrong person. So that's why they're like, oh well, we're backing up. we'll circle back.
Well, that is part of the reason why you know, we've definitely seen that before, and it's not just Jonathan Majors. You know, we look about what happened to Johnny Depp. Like, no one was
Yeah.
going to cast him, you know,
Yeah.
and now they're wrong. Like he lost his part in Fantastic Beasts,
Yeah. And yeah,
turned into Colin Farrell.
yeah, well, those movies sucked anyway. So
I'm not like a big Potter fan, but I actually liked the first Fantastic Beasts.
I'm a big fan of this of the series, but the first one was decent. I still was baffled that they turned such a small book that was really just a textbook into a movie, no, a trilogy. And yeah, by the second one, I was like, oh, they just completely lost the plot. if they even had one to begin with. So I'm like, yeah, I didn't watch the second one at all, not even on the pirate ship. but I did enjoy the first one for what it was. But I was like, yeah, I'm definitely not investing in this trilogy.
It's funny that you mentioned the pirate ship. I've been thinking about this a lot, like not about anybody in particular, but especially like because before we came on, I saw somebody tweet a picture of Stephen Amell from today.
Oh,
The Arrow Guggenheim wanted to organize like a big Arrow picket protest together for all the people from that worked on Arrow, and there's a picture of Stephen Amell there with them, and holding his sign and wearing his shirt like a good doobie. And I kind of thought about like, why do people even care about what he said? Like, first of all, most of y'all are the ones complaining about like this week Disney cracking down on account sharing, and like most people are like complaining, oh well, I'm gonna have my mom cancel Disney Plus now, and like and most of y'all are riding on the pirate ship. Like, you're literally the people that aren't contributing to any of this. So why do you care about like him having a different opinion?
because Jay, it's a social justice cause. Like
And it was taken out of context anyway.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because in the social media age, there's a whole niche where if you couch whatever issue that you're personally upset about as like a civil rights issue, then there is clout to be chased and and acquired. So we saw it early on when the writer's strike went live. They started talking about fair wages, fair wages, living wages, starvation wages, fighting the power, marginalized groups, the means of production, all the socialist talking points, everything you come to expect from any sort of, whether it's the fight for 15 or anything like that. They even though these are some of the most privileged people on the planet, they co-opted all of these movements and languages and turned it into that. So once that was clear, it was pretty predictable like how it was going to play out. Like, either if you disagreed at all, then it's because you hate workers, you don't support fair living wages, as they like to frame it. So I think Stephen Amell should have just kept his mouth shut unless he had something like really, really well thought out and eloquent to say, because now he just looks like an idiot. Like, because his initial statement wasn't as bad as people were saying, but it was bad, like in that it doesn't help them secure a deal, and it wasn't very well articulated.
Yeah.
And then he ends up doing this like rambling apology where he's like, I don't even know what I was talking about in some of that our initial statement. And so it was just like, yeah, bro, just don't. You should just not say anything.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about this before, where sometimes the best thing to say is nothing.
Yeah.
And I think he was asked a question and he just made the mistake of answering it honestly. You know what I mean? Like, I actually am kind of the belief that like striking isn't really going to help their cause here. And I don't know. I did read this, and that happened here. Like, that happened on the Cape. And it was something like that, but I do still think Kevin Spacey probably did some bad things.
For sure.
Just not to this person. This person set him up.
But apparently it doesn't matter because he's back and apparently has a movie coming out called Control.
And it sucks because I don't know if you watched what was the show he was on at the time? He was the president.
The Netflix one.
Yeah, it was so good. I love that show. Francis Underwood.
Fuck. What was that? What was that show? I haven't seen it. House of Cards. Yeah.
House of Cards. Loved that show.
Yeah, it was show was a masterpiece. Yeah. I didn't know anything about Kevin Spacey at the time, but once everything broke, I was like, oof.
I mean, he was a massive like actor, like, but yeah, like I I don't have any doubt that like some shady things happened.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I remember, because I remember when it happened, people pointed out that Seth MacFarlane had been making jokes about it in Family Guy for years about about Kevin Spacey.
There was a lot of smoke.
Yeah, there was some shady stuff, like he actually put a lot of that sort of stuff in Family Guy. Like he didn't come out publicly and make a big thing about it, but he would just put it in Family Guy. Like if someone was doing dirt, it'll just end up as a joke in Family Guy.
Yeah, I think I even think about like Louis C.K. Like I feel like he got kind of railroaded.
I mean, yeah, he did something creepy.
Yeah, but it was creepy. That's
it. But we've heard subsequently that it was definitely overblown, and he did get consent, but still really weird, like that's inappropriate.
But the problem is like everybody pretends.
Yeah, I get what you mean though. They tried because this really came into a problem with the whole Me Too thing. Like not soon after, they nailed Weinstein. Like they just got caught up in the power and just like, all right, let's get the next one. And every subsequent person pretty much that they Me Too'd after that was substantially less than he was in terms of severity. Like
there was
we had Aziz Ansari.
Yeah, that's what
it basically went from this powerful Hollywood elite who's like abusing women and using created this culture where sexual favors were exchanged for parts to a guy went on a date and the girl felt uncomfortable after, even though she consented to everything. Yeah. It definitely dropped because they were desperately kind of reaching for everything. So yeah, I definitely see like, and Louis C.K. got caught up in it. Like what he did was weird and creepy.
Yeah,
but it definitely wasn't on the level of what Weinstein was.
Right.
Quite on the level of what Weinstein was doing.
But I always just think it's funny watching Twitter reactions and knowing like that these people say and do things so much shittier than the things that they're crying about, and it's just like,
I mean,
everyone annoying.
Yeah, because everyone wants to feel like they're the hero of their own story. So that's just part of the course. I'm sure, like that's why like I understand. I'm not super invested in the actors strike because I'm like, okay, I understand the studios are run by terrible people, and they're really in it for the money. And there's definitely some writers and actors that have gotten the short end of the stick and definitely deserve some more money. But at the same time, I know there are very many actors and writers who are also completely awful people, just as bad as some of the people in the studio, and some of them definitely don't deserve more money. And this situation is not completely black and white. So I'm just kind of always, as usual, stuck in like kind of the middle on a nuanced take. It was a guy I've seen. Yeah, that one was so illuminating because like the whole thing like blew up exactly how much the media, the politicians, everyone is really just despicable people. like because if you look at the cover-ups that around Epstein and how the media have treated stuff similar, like the whole Sound of Freedom controversy, like you can definitely tell there are a lot of traffickers and similar abusers that are in all these places just in plain sight. So
yeah, I think I've watched every documentary that's come out on the Epstein stuff, and it's insane. Obviously didn't kill himself.
Yeah. Epstein didn't Epstein himself. This is got to be safe for YouTube.
right. My bad. Well, we're far enough in that they won't check. So
that was definitely that whole situation was definitely like the funniest thing about that whole Epstein situation is that Alex Jones had basically been telling people about this for 20 years and no one believed him.
Yeah. One thing he got right.
Yeah, like out of all the crazy conspiracy theories Alex Jones put out, like this was on his greatest hits of things that were actually true.
I have a hard time with Alex Jones now because, like, I don't know. I never really never really thought about him until the whole thing, the Connecticut shooting thing, that he just got sued into oblivion over.
Yeah, literally oblivion.
Because, like, my cousin is a state trooper, and his unit responded to that, and he wasn't one of the first responders, but he was one of the second wave that went into that school, like after everything was over, collecting evidence. And I know that it's something that, like,
yeah, just the idea, like, I understand, like, the legal process, what seemed around the whole Alex Jones suit was definitely shady, but if I was a parent and I had Alex Jones fans telling me that my kid who was just brutally executed in that event, it was fake, it is real. If I had Alex Jones fans telling me that, I would want to destroy his life too.
Yeah, like my cousin had just gotten off shift and had just, like, went to bed basically, and if he had, like, gone to bed maybe like an hour later, he would have, like, gone right back out the door and been one of the first responders. But, like, as soon as he ended up waking up, he saw what was happening, put his stuff back on, and went straight there, because it's kind of like all hands on deck.
Yeah.
And like, he was in a picture in USA Today as the state trooper escorting one of the caskets at the funeral. Like, it's brutal. And I mean, I've talked to him about it, and, like, it's just something that he says he was a Marine, like, he went overseas, like, he's done all that stuff, and he says nothing will ever shake that day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that just goes to the problem with conspiracy theories that most people don't really get into. But, like, when you get too in the weeds with these conspiracy theories, like, you get kind of like a lot of people get, like, trapped in this echo chamber where you start, just especially with conspiracy theories, like, you start seeing conspiracy theories everywhere. Once you see one, like, there's like, oh, then what's this, and then you just stop. And the danger is that you stop thinking about everything critically and just start accepting, like, the most obvious. Like, you should be always using Occam's razor as your guiding principle in general, especially when it comes to conspiracy theories, because you have to consider, okay, how, not only just how likely is this, but how many people would have to be involved for this to be pulled off.
Yeah.
And the more people required to basically stay silent or fake something horrific, the least likely it is that this is true. And just this whole thing was like, there's absolutely no way from the start you could have this many people,
Yeah.
and pull off this kind, like, for what payoff, like
I'll tell you what, it's funny that you say that. There's a case that's happening right now here in Massachusetts. Her name's Karen Reed, and I'm obsessed with this case right now. Like, literally, it is causing me to not do work because I'm just following it so closely.
is that what it is?
So listen, this lady back in early 2022 arrested for allegedly killing her significant other. They're saying that she hit him with her car in front of these people's house.
Right.
And for a while, everybody thought that was the case. And then, like, some of the evidence, like, it all seemed a little weird because, like, they're trying to say that, like, she hit him doing a 3-point turn and that he died of the injuries.
I think
But
I vaguely heard about this.
well, it's starting to come up on, like, the national news, because, like, there's a local blogger here, a local journalist. He goes by Turtle Boy. Long story. But he's been, like, digging deep into this, and it is literally what you just said and how hard it is to pull off. I do not remotely believe anything that the prosecution has said is true. Like the house that he was getting dropped off at is the house of like a Boston police officer, and like all the people that were in the house were like part of the family or worked for the town. So and apparently this cop had been accusing this guy's son of selling drugs in front of his house, and he was new to the area and didn't realize the connection. He was just reporting who the person was, not their name or anything.
Right.
And allegedly there was a confrontation. He probably accidentally died, like getting like beat up, and they just threw him in the yard, and basically are accusing the girl of murdering him. And like I can't even tell you how improbable that is, that she had anything to do with it. Like every aspect of it does not make sense, and I don't even have the time to like go into the ins and outs of it.
I mean,
Like,
you had me at police lied.
yeah, like I'll put it to you this way: like the Massachusetts State Police took over the investigation from the town police, and the officer that took over, like, literally knows the whole family, and has been saying like since Turtle Boy starting, like he's literally going like this guy could be a PI. All right, he's going through like all their like social medias and stuff like that, and he's finding pictures of this guy with the family, and like you should recuse yourself. He never. All right, if let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
So please show up, find a body in your yard. Okay.
Okay.
Do you think that they're going to knock on your door and ask to search your house?
No, they're going to bust in my door and haul me off in handcuffs.
Okay, exactly. At no point in time did they enter that house. Ever.
Not at all.
Not at all. Did not go in the house. Guy shows up dead in their front yard. Okay. And they just, like, because she said, could I have hit him? They said, oh, that's enough. We're arresting you. You did it. Boom. Case over.
Yeah, this definitely sounds like a case of cops being cops.
Like the officer purposely misspelled all the people's names so that if you like go in to search it, it's not going to pull up. Like all these people's names were like misspelled, and like you can't.
This feels like it should be a Netflix documentary or a movie.
Like they're they are. I am telling you, this case is just starting to blow up. Turtle Boy was actually on Court TV 2 nights ago.
Holy.
Discussing it. Dateline has run something. USA Good Morning America did like a little teaser about it. From like, and it's not just him, but there are other people that are like, you know, like us. They're, you know, like
famous content creators.
No, hell yeah, but like no, but they're like what Elon Musk likes to talk about when it's like you know, community journalists basically.
Yeah,
you know, he likes to make a big deal about the great work that these types of groups can make. And I've seen other people that are, because Turtle Boy, his problem has always been that he's a little too in your face. And I like him and everything, but like there's a lot of stories he's done over the years where I'm like, okay, I don't know what I've done that. And he calls them names. It's very like
very
provocative,
very unprofessional,
very shock jockey, but like that's what's made him a name. He has pulled it back a little bit with this because it's getting so much attention. But anyway, but I've seen other people talking about it, and like this one guy, I was watching him talk about it, and he had on a former, I want to say DEA, FBI agent or something like that. One of those groups, and he's very connected in the area, and he's been talking to people, and he knows that the FBI is also on their own investigating this. And I think this case is going to be huge. I know that Dateline's been there, 2020 has been there. Like it's insane. Like I can't even.
I mean, this sounds like a perfect true crime case. I mean, you got someone falsely accused of a crime, a huge police cover up.
And here's the crazy part. It's not even the first time this town has had a major controversy like this, where an officer might have been involved in murdering someone.
I'm sure this happens everywhere.
Yeah. Well, there's this girl that was like a teacher's aide at the school, and she allegedly got knocked up by one of the officers that was married, and then suddenly just killed herself.
Oh, she Epsteined herself.
Yeah. So like, there's some shady shit going on in that town, and it's so weird. And this, like, I'll put it to you this way: across the street from this house is the former chief of police of the town, Canton. Okay, who had to resign because of that other case.
Oh my god.
So perfect view of the yard, everything. Ring cam didn't work that night. No video.
Oh, it's that coincidence.
They found 6 ring cams on the block. None of them seemed to work. No video.
Just all of them stopped working. Wow.
They're just not working.
Wow, what a coincidence.
Yeah. They're saying that her taillight was broken, and that was clear evidence of her hitting him. But there is a ring camera in their yard that worked, that shows her backing in to his car on that same side. So it's almost certain that it broke there.
Right.
Like, when the initial investigation at like 8 a.m, they could not find any glass, any taillight, or the guy's shoe that was missing. None of it was anywhere in the yard. Like 8 hours later, that same police chief guy, on a whim, okay, just decided to drive back to the scene, even though Canton police were no longer involved. It was a state police investigation. And after even more snow had fallen throughout the day, suddenly found the taillight and the shoe sitting on a snow pile.
Oh, yeah. Wow, this kind of reminds me. I was watching this show on Netflix. It is the link. You ever hear of The Lincoln Lawyer?
I think I've seen that one. Is that good?
It's actually it's definitely. I remember when I saw the trailer for it, I was like, this is definitely a show Jayshockblast and his wife would binge watch.
Probably.
and I gave it a try, and I loved it. Yeah, it's a great.
All right.
It's a fantastic show.
I love true crime. I will definitely have to watch that.
It's basically like a stylized show. It's basically this lawyer whose whole thing is he drives around in Lincoln, and the 2 seasons are about him being the representing someone accused of a crime. He's a defense attorney, and what in the recent most recent series, the case he was representing a woman who runs a restaurant who was accused of murdering this big real estate developer who she was protesting over gentrification and generally trying to make her life a nightmare. And he was like, oh yeah, they said, oh yeah, she hit the guy in the head and with the instrument, but the murder weapons wasn't at the scene, and they just coincidentally found gloves with his blood on it in her house, and then the murder weapon was nowhere to be found. But then as soon as the trial started, coincidentally they find it in someone else's yard not that long. It was like, oh, this seems like a lot of coincidences.
Yeah.
Of just evidence just conveniently showing up. It's like, feels like there's a cover-up going on here.
Yeah, and I listen, I was raised to respect the police. I understand there's some bad ones out there.
I was not.
All right. But like, my cousin's a state trooper, and I know that he is one of the good ones. Like, I just know that this is effed up, man. And
yeah.
I just, the big point that Turtle Boy makes is that, like, they had a protest at the last hearing, and there was probably like a little over 100 people out in front of the courthouse, like with Free Karen Reed signs and stuff like that. And like, one of the things he said during it, because he had like a bullhorn and everything, he's like, listen, you followed my site, I'm very pro police. I'm a true Republican. We respect the police, and most of us here are in the same boat, and we are literally here supporting a woman accused of killing a cop. Like, what does that say?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I was definitely not raised as one of those people. My dad worked adjacent to law enforcement.
Yeah.
He worked in the corrections, but I'm not. I as someone who grew up in the hood, I had a very antagonistic relationship and view of the police in general. It moderated a little bit when I had randomly had a job working at a uniform store that serviced a lot of law enforcement, and there are definitely some cool ones in there. But yeah, just in general, just on the national stage, I know that even though every single police officer isn't terrible, like, it's a huge problem, and it's probably bigger than people think. This I don't think this case is an outlier. Like, we've been here. There have been stuff like this in the Black community for literally decades of police committing crimes or framing people, setting people up. This is just kind of par for the course, and I feel like people thought that, oh well, things are better because now there's cameras everywhere, and but no, it's like
They don't work.
it's still a problem. Yeah, like, yeah, body cameras don't do anything when they just coincidentally malfunction.
Yeah.
Like, or no one's looking at it, or the person who looks at it is in on it. Like, it doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah,
there's no
that's
transparency.
crazy. Nobody investigated anyone else. The DA is it almost feels like protecting the people that everybody thinks actually are responsible. Like, it's insane, and I don't get, the one of the ladies that was with Karen is like the wife of one of the people that was in the house, and at 2:30 in the morning she googled on her phone how long to die in cold. All right. And the DA is arguing that she actually Googled that in the morning and not when it specifically says in the iPhone. Like, that data is absolute.
Yeah,
And
that's
and
not how that works.
he's arguing that, no, it doesn't really actually work that way. She Googled that in the morning.
No, it literally
And
works that way.
yeah. And his Apple Fitness shows that he went in the house and that he went up and down 3 flights of stairs. So, it shows he was in the house. His
Yeah.
Apple Fitness data. Like, this is all scientific, actual stuff. And they're saying, nope, never came in, never saw him. And nobody driving down that street saw this 200-pound, 6-foot man dead on the ground in the front yard. There's just this week, they finally got to talk to a tow truck driver that they're basically, so the state trooper said that a third party tow truck company that he literally made up, that doesn't exist, towed that area, or not towed, plowed that street at but didn't plow until 6 in the morning or something. But this guy who is, and they also said all the GPS stuff was down for the city plows, but this guy has on record that he plowed that street at 2:30 in the morning, which would be 2 hours after Karen Reed would have supposedly hit him and killed him, and he would have been laying there. And he said there was nothing there, but where the body was found, there was a Ford Edge parked right there. And I don't know, I would put a car there if I was trying to hide a body.
This sounds like the most blatant, banana republic shit I've ever heard.
It is insane. And Turtle Boy has a video that's about a month old or so. That's a Cliff Notes, how we got here. I'll try to remember to send that to you, because it's insane.
I'm thinking of just clipping this segment and just just uploading it as a separate thing, and just kind of just diving into the screw job. Does she have a public trial?
Yes. And the reason I thought of this is because her attorney is the exact attorney that Kevin Spacey had
Oh my
that got him.
You know what I kind of want to do? I kind of want to live stream the trial.
Yeah. Well, they haven't even gotten to that point yet. The next hearing, I don't believe it's until September 15th.
If they have a trial, we should do a special episode of the Aftershow Podcast where we just live stream.
I kind of don't want to like step on his toes though. That's the thing. Like,
I mean, we have like 580 subscribers. Like, it's fine. It's fine. I'm not doing this on my main channel.
I've interacted with him a little bit over the years, and he swears that we went to school together. And I knew of him because of a friend I did go to middle school with. Because he ended up they went to a different high school than I did, and back when he was trying to be like a sports blogger, like 15 years ago. So that's the only reason I've ever followed the guy for a while. Okay. But then like there was a time like maybe 5 or 6 years ago that he was asking me some YouTube advice. And we were just going back and forth about stuff. And he's like, you know that we like went to school together, right? I'm like, really?
Okay. I'm officially invested in this case. I need you to get him on the podcast.
Okay.
Tell him to come on as a guest, and we'll just have a show where we're just talking about this shit.
Yeah, I swear to God, I cannot imagine a scenario where the people in that house did not kill him.
Yeah, this sounds like this. Not only does this like sound like they definitely did it, this is like one of the worst cover-ups I've ever heard of in my life.
Yeah, and it gets worse and worse because he's like in their face. He's going to their houses and knocking on their door. He went to like one of their like kids' football games, asking them questions, and like he's like being like all
what's his woman's
about it?
What's his woman's name? Karen
Reed.
Karen Reed.
Yeah.
Don't say deep throat.
You know who it is.
I know what it is, but it's 2023, Jay.
I know.
when most people hear deep throat, they think about something very different than meeting in a parking garage. Well, it does involve meeting in a parking garage in their mind, but not doing investigative detective work,
right?
or slipping confidential information.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. But yeah, it's honestly it's so crazy.
I'm officially bad because I do dabble in the whole Netflix true crime type of right. genre. Occasionally a case will catch my attention, but this one definitely has caught my interest. So we gotta have that guy on. What's his name?
Aiden Kearney, Turtle Boy,
Aiden Kearney. So
I think he's Dr. Turtle Boy on Twitter.
Shout out to Turtle Boy. We'll get him. We got to get him on the podcast to not only shine a light on this case, but maybe we'll ask him about some Marvel shit or something, just to keep it consistent. Speaking of which, our last story that we were going to touch on was just a light one. This one doesn't involve murder, except unless you count the murdering of a beloved franchise and IP. The Marvels is of course coming up.
Oh Jesus!
And it's shaping up to be another look. I assume this is going to flop, probably worse than Ant-Man 3 did. But this started making the rounds because, according to the director, Nia DaCosta, she said the film is different from other MCU films because it's really wacky and silly, which is quite a statement for the director of a MCU project to make. I responded by basically saying, I'm not sure if we should be happy or concerned that she basically hasn't seen an MCU project since Infinity War. like on one hand, another wacky and silly MCU movie is like, oh please, but also the fact that she thinks this makes it unique and different is definitely a concern.
Yeah, I feel like the big I feel like we've talked about this before. I feel like the big problem right now is that these writers are not like they keep trying to do their own thing and like make it their own, and everybody's out here saying, no, this is why we love the characters, make content about the reason we like the characters, you know?
You would think.
Yeah, I don't.
Now, and like I personally like Miss Marvel decently. The character is I've come to like the character mostly because of Marvel's Avengers and Amon Vellani. Think she's a tremendous actress, and I think she's perfect for what you would want in a superhero actor, someone who's like actually passionate and cares about the source material to the point where like they ask her about stuff on set.
Right.
But this movie looks like it's going to be dog water. Like, come on. Like we didn't need to hear this was also going to be wacky and silly. Like I remember there was a alleged plot leak like a while ago that said that there was like a significant part of the movie that was like a musical because they went to a planet where everyone just sings instead of talks. And I thought, okay, this sounds ridiculous even for Marvel, but now after seeing this comment from the director, I think that might actually happen. I don't know, but yeah, after Secret Invasion, this definitely doesn't fill me with any confidence that the director thinks that her movie is unique and different by being wacky and silly.
I don't mind a little bit of wacky and silly, but like, why is it so hard for these people to read a comic book and say, all right, this is who the character is, let's make a story based on that? Like, you think about some of the most successful franchises, you think of the Dark Knight trilogy, right? The Dark Knight trilogy is very dark and serious.
Right.
You can make those movies and they could be very successful. And I'm not saying it has to be 100% that, but like these characters, like you make a mockery of them when you constantly change who they are, and it's just these characters exist for a reason because the people created them, the people read it, and the people made it so. Like any other thing, if we the reader don't read a comic, it dies. Like if it doesn't sell, it goes away. And these characters exist because for decades, in many cases, like readers have passionately followed them. So when you go in and you make all these like changes, like I understand that a lot of these characters were created in a different world, in a different time.
It's very different. It's very different now, Jay, because
it's unbalanced.
Because like you said, back when there was a time when if a comic didn't sell, it went away. But now it doesn't matter if the comic sells. They make the comics knowing that they're not going to sell because they're just basically farming material for the MCU at this point.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily what I mean per se. I just mean like, when I say it was different back then,
way different.
Yeah, I understand
in many ways. Yeah.
Yeah, like I understand like that there are a lot of white characters because it was created in an age where it was safer. All right. And I understand that we need to diversify, and I have no problem with that. I like diverse characters from backgrounds I don't understand. That was one of the reasons I liked the Miss Marvel series, is seeing that culture played into it. I thought that was really cool and I appreciated that. But like, I just feel like there's enough there to make those types of characters that you want to elevate popular.
And it's not like there weren't great black characters back then even then.
Right. Exactly.
There were. And
the greatest of them they want to bury.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird how these days when they try to make a new diverse character, they just either race or gender swap them or both sometimes, and and then their stories are like always universally the same. Like they're the entire plot, the entire point is their identity and not about an actual story or struggle or hero's journey. So yeah, it's definitely an issue. And I mean, we've seen it in MCU because in Star Wars as well. It seems to be that people are getting hired to represent these IPs who don't actually like or care about the IP, and it's weird that they're like you can say, oh, the writers suck, and a lot of them do, but you have to look at who's hiring them, who's putting these people on these projects. Like why, like with The Witcher, why would you bring in people to run the show who don't like or care about the source material? Like they like Henry Cavill, great. He loves the books. He loves the games. Like that's why Amazon's seem to be doing the correct thing with the Warhammer thing. They're like, okay, Henry Cavill's the star. He's familiar with the lore. Let him and their creators do their thing, and we'll see how that goes. Whereas with The Witcher, there's like, okay, well, we have a star who cares about it, but we're just going to put everyone else, the writers, the showrunners, and directors, we're just going to put them in a position where to basically run the whole thing, and we are just going to ignore the fact that they actively hate the source material.
Yeah, and honestly, there's gonna be such a huge missed opportunity here if we don't see Blue Marvel in the Marvels.
I definitely don't think we are.
I don't think we are either, and that blows my mind. Like the story that they're going with is perfect for him. He's part of that group, the Marvels, you know? He's part of that space station, you know? I just don't get what we're doing here. Like, you want to introduce these great, diverse characters, well, do it. Blue Marvel should, by all means, be a superstar, popular character. He is, in a lot of ways, what people are looking for in, like, not totally, but like sort of in the line of a Black Superman, you know? Like, I know his power set is different,
Yeah.
but that's in the grand scheme of things, you know, he is one of their like green. I don't know. He doesn't have like a direct comparison, but you know what I mean? Like one of their high powers.
Yeah, and it would be a slam dunk for them, but I guess it just, to me, it feels like they don't see legitimacy in Black characters unless they're wearing the hand-me-downs of a white character,
and I hate that.
And they're only willing to take that swing on for the sake of diversity if it's a woman. Like,
yeah, and I've been having that conversation for years, even before I did, you know, Shockblast Media, which turned into Jayshockblast. I was part of a website called Analog Hype, and we used to do a podcast back then, and I was like the only white person on the cast. Everyone else was Black, and I would ask them, like, I remember very specifically asking my buddy Chrome, I'm like, how do you feel about that though? Don't you feel like it's terrible getting that they think so little of you that all they can offer you is a hand-me-down character? Like, here's a costume, go play that character now. You know, don't you want somebody that like is organic and feels right, that already exists, that you already love? Like Static Shock, you know?
Loved him when I was a kid.
Exactly. And I know that he's like starting to like kind of make a little bit of a comeback, but like, is that not like a no-brainer character that should have like been elevated for a while now?
Yeah.
You know, like, it's just, there's so many characters like that out there. And I just feel like, and I always felt so good knowing that Chrome's answer and everybody else's answer was, yeah, I don't want that. I want the characters I already love, like Black Panther or Luke Cage, or, you know, the plenty of others.
Yeah, like I don't
Blade.
I don't want a Black Clark Kent. I want Valzai. I'll take Valzai. You know, if you want to go that route,
too, you know,
you want to go that route. Like, come on, like we don't need to do that. We like that. But this again reminds me of that Hollywood has always been like this. Like, they're like, no matter how much they try to dress it up and talk about how much they care about diversity, and they don't. This is the same place that literally would rather have had white people wear black makeup than hire a black actor. like that.
Yeah.
That's what Hollywood has always been. You know, like I'll never forget that Red Tails story of how even James fucking Cameron couldn't get a movie made and he couldn't get a movie financed because it had too many black people in it. that's who Hollywood is. Like that's how no matter how much they try to dress it up. So you know the Disney definitely doesn't care. Like they definitely didn't care about black people when they removed Finn from the posters to promote in China because they don't. This is all theater. This is all a corporate show.
That's a tough one for me because like I understand what you're saying and I don't necessarily disagree, but at the same time you have to think about it's China and they asked for that. And like
you can tell you can tell them exactly what Sony and Square Enix told Saudi Arabia when they told them to edit Final Fantasy 16 in order to release it there. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, but here's the thing: Saudi Arabia isn't China, and I kind of feel like John Boyega.
There's a lot more money. Yeah, sure, there's a lot more money to be made in China than in Saudi Arabia, but the point still stands. There's still incredibly problematic places that we shouldn't be closing close to. And if you just made good movies, like we've shown that, especially since China is rejecting Western movies more and more often, like you can make a successful movie and not have a big presence in China at all. Like it's very much possible to do. You just have to actually make a good movie.
Yeah, I do feel like though that John Boyega can't be too mad about it because I'm sure with the money that they ended up making in China off the movie, his paycheck was a little bit heftier.
Imagine assuming that I think isn't part of the problem that the actors have is that they're not getting residuals.
Well, yeah, they're not getting residuals from streaming. That's the issue.
I mean,
streaming.
They're not all getting residuals from movies either.
I don't think that's the case.
I mean, I think it's something you have to negotiate, and if you don't, if you don't have a lot of cachet, then you're not getting it. Like obviously, like if Tom Cruise is doing a movie, yeah, obviously he's going to get stuff on the back end because he's Tom Cruise. But if you're a new actor and you're hired to be in a movie, you know, that's with hundreds of millions of dollar budget from a giant corporation with a huge IP, you don't have any leverage.
I think though 100% of the residual checks that are being shown and how little they made off of it have come from streaming projects.
Yeah, those specifically. Yeah, that's the big thing they're pushing.
I'm positive now. Like, because especially with Star Wars, because like I know Mark Hamill, like, and this is back in the original Star Wars before anybody knew who Mark Hamill was really, and anybody knew that Star Wars was going to be, you know, remotely popular. Yeah. Mark Hamill had something built into his contract where anytime they made something using his likeness, he had to be sent 2 of it. And he literally has a warehouse on his property with all the stuff that's been sent to him.
Because he was smart, but he also had the leverage because it's like no one had any faith in that Star Wars project. No one knew what the fuck it was.
He had the leverage because I don't know. Like you can say that, but I don't.
It wasn't a situation. It wasn't a simple situation because at the time, George Lucas wasn't George Lucas. No one knew what Star Wars was. This was all a risk. Like this was.
They got good deals out of that. I'll tell you that.
That was a situation where it's basically like a startup. Like no one knows about the startup. No one believes in it. But if you have the vision and you think ahead, you can cash in on it. And fortunately, like Mark Hamill was able to. Unfortunately, James Earl Jones didn't have the foresight to to think, you know, long term on this. But yeah, but nowadays it's a lot different. Like it's a lot more cutthroat. Like Star Wars is a proven commodity. So if you're bringing in an actor who doesn't have an established name, they're not going to have the same. They're not going to have like Mark Hamill. His whatever deal he signed to be in the Disney Star Wars stuff is not going to be the same as what John Boyega signed because he's fucking Mark Hamill.
But I also kind of feel though there has to be some like standard for residual type stuff like that. And I don't, like I said, I'd have to see more data on it, but I don't feel like any of the residual complaints that I've seen have been off like traditional media. It's all been streaming, because I know for a fact that I've heard lots of people brag about their residual checks from stuff that's syndicated.
Oh yeah, well because that's a different thing. Like particularly writers, like their residuals are like huge for them because they're not going to get the Dwayne The Rock Johnson money, no matter how good of a writer they are. So they rely on not only just the initial, especially when they get cut off from the process. So they rely on the initial money that they get to write the project, and then the subsequent residuals on top of that. So I'm trying to check and see what the SAG standard is, because I know what the SAG standard for hiring actors are.
Yeah.
Like on the low end, if you want to hire a SAG actor for the day, you're paying them $1,000. If you want them and it scales based on how long. So if you have them for 7 days, you're giving them $3,600. That's on the absolute lowest low end. That is the current SAG standard. So obviously, somebody with a established name would, you know, be getting a lot more than that. But that is the basic bare minimum for a SAG actor: $1,000 to hire them for the day, no matter what they're doing, and $3,600 for 7 days.
You know, I also think about this though. I feel like The Force Unleashed came out around a time when the way people engage with media started shifting to streaming, and it is quite possible that, you know, sure, there were the movie sales numbers and everything, and then you get into like the DVD and Blu-ray, and those obviously don't sell to the point where Disney has already announced that they're like cutting production of Blu-rays in Australia completely. You know, they're not even going to be making Blu-rays of any kind for Australia anymore. Like, and we're going to see more of that. But so yeah, it is possible that he was impacted a little bit, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that the only way they've ever seen The Force Unleashed or any of those 3 movies is Disney Plus. So there, I mean, but still, I think that most of the royalty situations are built around streaming, you know.
It's so I'm reading this, like SAG actors used to not get anything for residuals, but your boy Ronald Reagan negotiated this.
My boy.
It started from the 60s onward, but apparently it's a lot of this comes down to negotiation. Like and depends on situation. Like for reruns, for example, the Brady Bunch stars don't get any residuals for reruns, but each member of Friends apparently, each cast member of Friends apparently made $20 million per year as of a few years ago just off syndication.
Yeah. I think that's like the extreme. Like, you know, you see Friends on like every day. Like I'm pretty sure there's a channel that's just Friends reruns.
Yeah, I mean the Brady Bunch was on a fucked up too, but that's
wild. That's kind of crazy to hear too, because I don't know.
Yeah, that's crazy that Brady Bunch cast don't get anything. That's
because I remember growing up, like the Brady Bunch was on just like Friends is now.
Yeah,
you know,
that's tough.
Like that was like every day.
That's
I'm pretty sure my mom's like one of her first heroes is Florence Henderson.
So yeah, so I guess there's I guess it comes down to negotiations, but there are performers that are entitled to some residuals, but how much and how significant and what projects or type of projects or what stuff you get residuals from is up to negotiation. And currently, the actors are trying to do something with the streaming thing because, and the writers as well, because I think the principal issue with the streaming stuff is that there's no transparency, and they don't have a way. They're not really, if they do have a way to calculate it properly, they're not sharing it because it's not in their interest to do so, because they're trying to protect their stock price. And I'm sure there's some other shady stuff going on, but I think a lot of it is just that these shows probably aren't generating any really money. So that's probably why the residuals are low in the first place. I'd be guessing all these projects they just throw on there just because they need content for the app. So they may lose money on a lot of these, especially if they're not very good. And I'm guessing the residuals are better if you're on a big show. Like I don't remember the cast anyone related to Stranger Things complaining about bad residuals.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know, but like that also is kind of why you see all these companies like trying to crack down on the password sharing, because like and I think that's the funniest part for me is going on Twitter and seeing people complaining about the companies. Oh, you just leave it alone, and then trying to be like, oh, pay your people more. Like, well,
they're paying. Well, they're only paying them with the money that they get from the subscriptions that you're stealing, because they don't. The benefit of Netflix is that you're watching all these shows and movies that you're only paying a flat monthly fee for, and you're not being shown any ads at all. Like Prime will like show you ads, but they'll be like for other Prime shows, but Netflix doesn't show you anything. You just you want to watch it. You want to watch a movie. You want to watch a show. You pop it on, no interruptions. You go nuts. And the trade off is that you just pay them a monthly fee, and that's how, if you want them to get paid, that's how they're going to get paid, off those monthly subscriptions. And if you're actively trying to steal the service, I mean, you're contributing to the problem.
Yeah, and like, listen, I get it. Like, times are tough. Like, money's tight. We subscribe to a bunch of them, and then I think like my wife's mom subscribes to like Paramount Plus, and we just use their account for that.
I know that people complaining and virtue signaling can definitely afford to pay for Netflix.
Right. Exactly. And I mean, like Disney Plus, like, my God, there's been like, I'm pretty sure that we got our first 3 years of Disney Plus for about $3 a month.
Yeah.
Like we paid for 3 months up front, or 3 years up front, and it was like $3 a month. Like, that's part of the problem also, but at the same time, it's not like it was hard.
It's also not like it's also not like the services was much more than that. because
I feel like I could never find anything to watch anymore. I think I use Peacock the most at this point, to be honest with you.
I basically rotate through Netflix, Max, and a little bit of Prime, and other than that, it's mainly Crunchyroll and High Dive for me. But
it's funny, I forget that I even have Prime, and I like never even look at it.
Like occasionally, like because there's definitely stuff I follow on Prime. Like like obviously Marvelous Mrs. Maisel was great. The Boys, Invincible.
Yeah, I think that's like the only thing I've really watched on Prime.
Actually, they get some stuff. Times they get big movies and stuff. And on digital, you can get them, rent them, or whatever. I actually just watched the M. Night Shyamalan movie that was free. The Knock at the Cabin was actually pretty good.
We have what do we got here? We got Paramount Plus, Max, Netflix, Discovery Plus, Hulu, Amazon Prime.
See, I personally hate Disney Plus because I like unless you're just feeling nostalgic and you want to like watch reruns of like Sister or something like that, which I've done a little bit of watching some of the old stuff, but it's old stuff, like it's nostalgia. But the new stuff mostly sucks, and especially the Marvel Star Wars stuff a lot of the time. And the best thing to me, the best thing that I was interested in is like they started having anime on there and pretty high quality anime, but you can't watch it if you're in America, which makes no sense. Like that's literally the biggest anime market,
Yeah.
and unless you have Hulu, you can't watch any of the anime that Disney acquired the rights to air unless you use a VPN. So I'm like, so if I want to watch some anime on Disney Plus, I have to go up on my computer and use a VPN to take a quick trip to Germany, it's absolutely ridiculous. Because otherwise, I would have no reason to watch Disney Plus at all unless a new Marvel show or something was airing, and those are increasingly it's become increasingly clear that those aren't worth the time. Like I'm hoping Loki season 2 is good. I mean, Loki season 1 they tried very hard to make it not good, but they still pulled it off, and it ended up pretty decent. But I'm hoping they clean it up in season 2. I mean, at this point, after Secret Invasion, I'm like anything. I don't see there being I feel like Secret Invasion might have been rock bottom. Like I'm trying to envision. I can't imagine Loki season 2 or anything up. Maybe Echo could potentially be worse than Secret Invasion, but
Echo is a mistake from the start, though.
that's going to be tough. Like because the expectations for Echo were in the toilet to begin with.
Yeah.
So like Secret Invasion, the part of the problem is that that's such an iconic story and has so much potential, and the result of it being so bad is what was really so shocking. Like no one realistically expects Echo to be like a masterpiece.
You know what I can't wait for? I just can't wait for Daredevil Reborn, because I feel like that's going to give us a sense of direction. I feel like that's the first time we're seeing, and I don't know for a fact who's working on it, but I feel like they're trying to bring back a lot of that crew that did work on the first few seasons of Daredevil on Netflix. And if they can pull off Daredevil that we know from that Netflix series on Disney Plus, I don't think they can either. And I'm just hoping that we can get at least 75% of that.
Honestly, I don't think they're going to try. Like,
but
like it's a long time from now. Like, obviously, a lot of stuff is going down with the strikes and them losing all this money and subscribers. So maybe they're just like, okay, well, clearly what we're doing isn't working. So because they're already talking about scaling back on the spending and the volume. So maybe they're like, okay, let's start cleaning this up. And they hired the writer who did Beef to do Thunderbolts after they read the script. I heard that they looked at the script for Thunderbolts, and what I heard was basically it was too much like Black Widow 2, which I think is a nice way of saying it was absolute dog shit. and they were just like, yeah, we're gonna go in a different direction. So they hired the writer from Beef, which was a very good show. I definitely recommend it if you haven't seen it on Netflix yet. So I think that's a sign that things could be changing for the better. Pretty sure the writer who did She-Hulk, no, Gal, no, I don't think they, no.
I do think Casual's point though that like if Daredevil Reborn flops, it's a wrap.
Oh yeah, it's a wrap.
Like that, like there's because that series is seminal, right? Like Daredevil, I feel like reinvigorated like the superhero genre in a lot of ways, because that show was just epic in every sense of the word. And that's what I think a lot of people are looking for. Like, I mean, remember back when Daredevil was like doing its thing every week, and our only big complaint was that he's not in the suit, like, oh, why isn't he in the suit yet? Like, get to the suit. Where's the suit?
Yeah.
Like,
so I looked it up. The She-Hulk writer, from what I could tell, is nowhere near this. The Daredevil Burger writers officially are Matt Corman and Chris Ord. I'm looking up their IMDb's right now. See what their work was previously as writers. So they looks like they're a team. They work because they looks like they worked on the exact same projects. The most notable one here is Covert Affairs. I don't know how many people watched. I don't know if any in the chat saw that, but that was actually a pretty good show. I remember Covert Affairs. That was like in the isn't like if you like Suits or White Collar, those type of shows that will air on like USA. I think you'll love Covert Affairs. So it was a pretty good show, but I mean they don't have the best track record otherwise in terms of credits. I mean, I haven't seen. They did 2 episodes of The Brave, 2 episodes of The Enemy Within, 2 episodes of Containment. They wrote a movie called Deck the Halls in 2006 that looks low budget as fuck. But I mean, it had Matthew Broderick and Danny DeVito. I've literally never heard of this movie. The only thing on here in their IMDb that looks remotely impressive is Covert Affairs. And that's the thing they did the most. They did 75 episodes of Covert Affairs, and the rest they haven't really done much of anything. But Covert Affairs was a great show, so that at least gives me some hope. Like Covert Affairs was a great show, but yeah, I mean, it wasn't Daredevil on Netflix quality, but it was a pretty good show.
I'm gonna change the direction here for a second. Complex, this just popped up in my feed. Complex ranks best New York rappers of all time.
Oh Jesus, hold up.
I don't know why it didn't pop up there. I
mean, you can literally just you have the same access I do. You can just put it into the.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's a stream card.
Hold on. Share screen. There we go. My bad.
Yeah, blow that up. All right, number 1, Jay-Z. Biggie number 2. That's going to piss a lot of people off, but it's correct. Nas, Rakim, LL Cool J, 50 Cent, Nicki Minaj, DMX, Busta Rhymes, KRS-One, Prodigy, Lil Wayne, Ghostface Killah, MF Doom, Big Pun, Jadakiss, Cameron, Yassine Bey, Big Daddy Kane, Slick Rick, Method Man, Chuck D, Run, Q-Tip, Cardi B. Holy fuck! This is a list.
I was very interested to see what you thought about it. I don't know that I can. I don't know who I would actually.
Oof.
I'm not like I've said that we've talked about this before. I'm not the biggest of Jay-Z fan per se, even though 10 years ago today, I saw Jay-Z and Justin Timberlake at Fenway Park.
I was a big Jay-Z fan. In I want to say starting in maybe 7th grade, but I gradually saw the light and became a Lupe Fiasco believer. But I still love the music. Like, I understand people who are hesitant, but I think Biggie was definitely more talented than Jay-Z. But unfortunately, his life got cut short, and Jay-Z's catalog is undeniable. Like, he's one of the most successful entertainers in history. Like, not even just, he's transcended rap. Like him, Drake, the Beatles, Michael Jackson, they've transcended their genres in terms of global success. Like, it's undeniable. Not only is he a great rapper in terms of talent and ability, but he, and the thing that they're ranking, like, we gotta realize they're not just when they do these lists, they're not just doing a pure lyric who's the best at punchlines and wordplay and everything like that. They're looking at the totality of their careers, not just their skills as MCs, but also, how well they were, their influence on the culture, how they influence other rappers, how commercially viable they were. All of that is taken into account. So if we're going by that, I mean, you can definitely make the argument that Biggie is number one if you just want to put most of the weight on influence, in terms of the fact that he influenced Jay-Z, who influenced everything else after that. But I think if you just look at the numbers, it's kind of hard to justify putting Biggie ahead of Jay-Z in terms of what he's done as a New York rapper. Like his catalog is insane. Like his accomplishments are insane.
Yeah, I feel like, and maybe I'm out of pocket, I would have probably put Nas at number one.
Yeah, you're out of pocket. I love Nas. I love Nas. You're out of order.
And I've said before that I was never the biggest Biggie fan. I just wasn't. I don't know why.
I feel like Nicki Minaj is definitely way too high on this list.
I thought that too, but as I was scrolling down, everybody's like, Nicki Minaj the only. I feel like Lil' Kim should be ahead of her.
Lil' Kim should definitely be higher than Nicki Minaj. Like,
yeah,
Nicki Minaj literally wouldn't exist without Lil' Kim, and Nicki Minaj isn't really, like, when I think of New York rap, I don't think of Nicki Minaj. Like, she's a pop star.
Yeah. I do like the fact I always said that Ghostface was like my favorite Wu-Tang member. So it is kind of cool seeing him. He's the highest rated Wu-Tang guy, right? Yeah.
I mean, Cardi B being on this list at all upsets me, but it's probably justified in some way. But I don't know.
I didn't realize how deep Busta Rhymes went until I started. Well, I sent you that documentary. I don't know if you watched it all, but I didn't realize he went all the way back to like there was like a bunch of people working together, and A Tribe Called Quest was part of it, with like Q-Tip and all them, and I can't remember the name of the song, but there's like I didn't realize how I knew he was influential, but like you always think about his like crazy, yeah, like, and I didn't realize like how deep he went. And that's pretty.
No, Busta's my guy. Busta's a fucking goat.
Yeah,
he should definitely be higher.
Anyway, I just saw that, and I thought it'd be interesting, so I'll go ahead and.
I'm sure people are going to be arguing with that for quite a while.
Yeah,
for people who are left off of it, who was not.
It does seem like there's like a recency bias.
Like, there's definitely a reason. Like I'm just like refreshing to see who they could have added that didn't make the list, who seems egregious, and like the fact that Foxy Brown and Big L were on this is crazy. Fabulous didn't make the list. Did Fat Joe make it?
Nope.
I don't think Fat Joe, no Mace.
I mean, Big Pun was on there though.
Yeah, Big Pun definitely. I mean, they obviously will have to do that. Like this. Yeah, this is a. This is a. There's definitely some recency bias here. I will say that, because I'm just looking at the list. I'm definitely skeptical here. I would definitely take off Cardi B and put Fabulous on there in a heartbeat. I'll tell you that right now. Just glancing at that, but it is what it is. It's complex. I haven't really listened to really anything complex related. When I think of complex now, I think of Hot Ones. Like, I don't pay attention to them in terms of music anymore. At this point, in this streaming era, like if I want to hear something, if I want to hear about good music, I'll find it myself. With the algorithm, or I'll reach out to or I'll look at like like a good indie blog or something, if those are still around. Like I'm when it comes to complex, that to me, seeing a complex rap list is like seeing an IGN best video game list. Is like, who cares?
There it is. 10 years ago today, my view for Jay-Z and Justin Timberlake at Fenway Park.
Terrible seats, but great show, I'm sure.
They weren't that bad, all things considered.
So if you had a telescope, yeah, it's pretty solid.
I mean, I could see everything just fine. It was a good experience. I grew a lot of respect for Justin Timberlake that night and Jay-Z. They both put on an amazing show.
JT's that dude. Future Sex Love Sounds is a classic.
Yeah,
certified hood classic. All right, I think we can wrap it up for the week. Appreciate everyone hanging out as usual.
This was an all over the place show.
This went in directions I didn't expect, but there's definitely some future fun stuff that will be born of this. We definitely got to have our true crime stream and our big Mortal Kombat creator stream as well. Subscribe if you're new. Thank you for helping us break 500. Let's see if we get to 1,000 next. But if you also want to support the channel, you can become a Backstage Pass member, just 99 cents a month. I'm Sadot the Gamer.
I'm Casual Avenger.
No, you're not racist.
I'm Jayshockblast.
Zip it up and zip it out. Peace. Real Casual Avenger in the chat. Hope to see you next week.
Yes, very much so.